Welcome to the SBR NHL Ice Guys. It's Thursday, November 15th. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, joined by Alex B. Smith and Jimmy Murphy as we break down the Thursday NHL card. 9 games. I don't know what it is about NHL Tuesdays and Thursdays, but they love the number 9 because there's been 9 games every single day lately that we've been on this show. 9 games again tonight. We'll break each and every one of those down for you right here as we always do. Let's start with Alex B. Smith, get an opening comment from him. Alex, how are you on this Thursday morning?
Good. 9's my favorite number, so I have no problem with it being 9 games every time we do a show. But yeah, we got 9 good games. Once again, just like we had Tuesday. Tuesday was a really fun card to watch, and there's some good games worth not only betting on, but just sitting down and grabbing some popcorn, grabbing a beer, and watching tonight too. So looking forward to the Thursday slate.
Absolutely. Jimmy Murphy, Dan Boston, ready to break down the card as well. Jimmy, how are you?
I'm good, guys. I'm good. Yeah. So I'm hoping I got to drive through a little snow tonight. I'm on my way up to New Hampshire right around dinner time, but hopefully I can get settled in and watch some of these 9 games. And there's some good ones I'm looking at there too. I'm interested to see how Carey Price does tonight for the Habs in Calgary. Obviously, he's been struggling a lot, going through a lot, completely admitted it's all upstairs. And of course, the Habs got lit up in their last game. So we'll see if he can come in and shut the door. That'll be interesting. And then I'm also interested to see how the Penguins respond tonight, playing the Tampa Bay Lightning. Sidney Crosby up in the air, so we don't know how that's going to go, which could obviously affect our picks there. But want to see how they bounce back after their GM pulled the trigger on a deal yesterday.
Yeah, very interesting to see how they do. Of course, the big deal being Carl Hagelin sent to the LA Kings in exchange for Tanner Pearson on his way to Pittsburgh. I think Jim Rutherford's been antsy and dying and itching to make a trade for weeks now, trying to do something to shake up this moribund, struggling, floundering Pittsburgh Penguins team, and he's finally done it.
Yeah, I don't think he's done either, guys. I see more deals coming from there. I'd keep your eye on Daniel Sprong, Derek Brassard when he gets healthy. Rutherford's not going to sit back at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that this could be more a sign of things to come for the Pittsburgh Penguins because obviously a shakeup. Jim Rutherford figuring something's needed, maybe a few trades needed to shake this team up right now, get them out of their doldrums that they remain in following that loss to the New Jersey Devils the other night. Andrew McGinnis has joined the show now as well. Andrew, Thursday morning, how are you?
Yeah, doing good, Ian. It's a pretty good slate here tonight, and a lot of spots I like. A couple of heavy favorites, but other than that, actually quite a few close games. And it's good to see on a card, not just, massive sides. Nice to see some, equally sided matchups here. And that's what we have here tonight, I think. So a lot of good matchups, and looking forward to breaking them down with you guys.
All right, we start with the Battle of New York. New York Rangers, New York Islanders. We've got the Islanders minus 130 at home. The total 6 shaded to the under. I don't really have much on this game. I've not much interest in it from a betting standpoint here. When you look at it, the Rangers are a little bit up and down, but they've played better lately. Really good lately. In fact, the New York Rangers beat Vancouver the other night to keep that win streak going for them. Henrik Lundqvist, how about him? Turning back the clock, having a very, very solid season in net for this Rangers team. The Islanders, they got a win against that, once again, just like New York, the Rangers, that same Vancouver team the other night. They took care of business against them as well. Islanders have been struggling. They lost a few in a row, snapped that with the win against Vancouver. Overall, though, the Islanders, we've talked about it for the most part, getting better goaltending, Greiss and Leonard, better defensive play. They haven't scored as many goals, but they've kept way more pucks out of their own net, which is something they obviously didn't do last season. So they've been competitive, been in a lot of games. Again, this is a coin flip to me. I think Islanders could win, Rangers could win. But Rangers are a team they're really hot right now. Maybe slightly into them at the plus price, but with these two teams, they've had little ups and downs all season. So not a game I'll be involved with from a betting standpoint. And I believe in terms of the ice guys here, none of us involved in that game. So we're going to move on to New Jersey taking on Philadelphia. Philadelphia minus 145. The total 6 shaded to the over. I'll give the Devils credit. I mean, we thought, things were really bad, falling apart for this team just a little bit, but rallied the troops. And the Pittsburgh Penguins, we thought after a win against Arizona, which snapped a losing streak for them, maybe a chance to right the ship. You're taking on a struggling Devils team. No. New Jersey said not so fast. And the Devils took care of business, a home win the other night against the Pittsburgh Penguins as the Penguins continue to struggle. We'll get to them in just a little bit. But for the New Jersey Devils, obviously a much-needed win back home against Pittsburgh. They got it. Weird schedule here for the Devils. And this is another bad spot for them as far as I'm concerned. You played all those road games, a long road trip. You didn't play well on it. You went home for one game against Pittsburgh, and now you're back on the road again tonight as you take on the Philadelphia Flyers. So a very, very peculiar scheduling scenario that the schedule makers have put the Devils through. Philadelphia, a tough loss the other night in their last game. I did like Florida in that game. They got the job done 2-1. Win on the road against the Flyers, the red-hot Panthers. That cooled off the Flyers, who had been playing well. They had won 5 of 6. No shame in losing to Florida. But again, strength of schedule-wise, we questioned it on Tuesday's show. You beat Chicago, you beat Arizona twice, you beat some weaklings, basically, the Flyers, during that good stretch. That being said, what's New Jersey done to show you that on the road that you can trust them? I mean, what if it's very, very difficult team to trust away from Newark. It's been a struggle for them on the road. They've played some really piss poor hockey on the road. The New Jersey Devils. I'm not willing to trust them here. I know Philadelphia. I'm not really in love with laying this kind of number with the Flyers by any stretch, but before I back New Jersey on the road, I'm going to have to see something more than what I've seen from them so far this season. So this is a game I have a lean to Philly. Maybe if the price comes down just a little bit, I'll get involved in it. But for now, it's definitely a game I'm going to be staying out of here tonight. Devils and Flyers is a game for Jimmy. He's got a opinion on it here tonight. Devils taking on the Flyers in Philly. Jimmy, what do you like here in this game?
I'm loving the over. I'm with you. I don't know if I can lean on either team here, but I love leaning on some goals. The goals are going to be coming in this game. They've both been scoring. The goaltending's kind of been up and down for both teams. So I like the over in this game, and I think it'll be an exciting game. I just don't know who the heck's going to win.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a great thing about sides and totals. You could have no clue who's going to win, but you think, hey, it's going to be a defensive battle. It's going to be a up and down offensive affair, and you just target the total. And Jimmy's doing that. He likes the over in this game. Elliott's been better lately. I'll give him credit. Elliott, we know, is inconsistent. He's been better lately. Kincaid's really been, I think, solid for New Jersey. It's Schneider that's really, really struggled. Kincaid, when he's had losses, it's usually been the circus in front of him. Talking about that Devils defense, which has looked like a circus. It has looked like a Barnum and Bailey carnival act at times in their own zone. And I think that's really hung out Keith Kincaid to dry at times. But definitely, this is a chance where if the Devils find the back of the net, might be able to see some goals here. And obviously the Flyers cooled off offensively a little bit, the Flyers, but still certainly more than capable. So Jimmy on the over in that game, the Devils and Flyers. Let's see, what have we got? Next up, we've got Tampa Bay taking on Pittsburgh. We've got Pittsburgh about even money here. Yeah, actually, it's right around even money, minus 110 on both sides in this game. The total 6 across the board. Lightning and Penguins before the season. You could probably say this about the last few years. This is what people might think could be an Eastern Conference Finals preview. These are two teams always in the mix in the East, but I'm telling you what, Pittsburgh Penguins, I know in years past we've talked about it. Pick your spots with this team. When are they motivated? When are they fired up to play? We thought that would be Tuesday night, and actually they didn't play too bad, but a couple bad breaks here and there, and the New Jersey Devils end up getting the win against Pittsburgh and not the Steelers. Got my sports mixed up. The Penguins getting their signals, getting my signals crossed there. But yeah, the Penguins, one win is all that win streak lasts against Arizona, back in the losing column again. Jim Rutherford, as we talked about, making the trade, sending Carl Hagelin out, Tanner Pearson in with this Penguins team. I don't know what that does. I mean, Hagelin's got a lot of speed. Hagelin might help the Kings a little bit, but because they desperately need speed. I can see why the Kings traded for Hagelin. I mean, they need some speed. They need an injection of just someone that can skate and win one-on-one puck battles, because believe me, I watched the King-Leaf game the other night. I think the Kings lost every single one-on-one puck battle. When it was a foot race situation, forget it. Kings weren't getting to that loose puck against Toronto, and Carl Hagelin maybe can help that a little bit for the Kings moving forward. Tanner Pearson struggled a little bit this season, but maybe getting a change of scenery, playing with a more offensive-minded team with more talent around him. Maybe that can get Pearson going here as he heads to Pittsburgh to join this Penguins team. The big news injury-wise is Sidney Crosby, and Mike Sullivan doing his damnedest to make sure we have no clue, none, zero, about whether he's playing tonight, saying, we'll see. It's a maintenance day for him. We'll see tomorrow. He was given that repeated answer to the media yesterday. So I would not expect him to play. It didn't sound good from the looks of it. So Penguins could be down Sidney Crosby here in this game. What gives for the Tampa Bay Lightning? You're supposed to bounce back off a loss. Usually that's been a given for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they lost again to the Buffalo Sabres on Tuesday night, 2-1. Although it was a little bit of a rug pulled out from under us for those that like Tampa, as it was a late change in goalies. It was Louis Domingue in net for the Lightning instead of Andrei Vasilevsky. Nevertheless, it wasn't goaltending that let the Lightning down. Just couldn't find the back of the net. Carter Hutton was really good. A couple of posts helped him as well. A couple of posts late in that game that Tampa hit could have tied the game, forced overtime. And, sometimes the post can be your best friend, and it was for Carter Hutton the other night. But Tampa now 2 losses in a row. You think I've always reluctant to bet against Tampa off a loss. Off 2 losses in a row, you better be damn sure. You better be 100% sure that and believe it that I'm in no rush to bet against Tampa tonight, especially with Pittsburgh struggling and looking really poor. To be honest with you, I mean they're not the same offensive bunch. Casey DeSmith and Matt Murray have been hot. They've been cold. They've been a little bit of both. Defensive play's been scattershot as well for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I'm going to go Tampa here. Minus 110 in this game. Off 2 losses in a row. Vassy, as they call him, is going to be back in net tonight for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Pittsburgh, again, I know they get Pearson back, maybe a little jolt getting a trade done, but I'm going to have to see a good performance. And again, it's been no problem betting against Pittsburgh at home. They've not been a great home team this season. Yeah, give me the Lightning here, minus 110. Circle the wagons time for John Cooper's team. Back-to-back losses for them. I think they have the chance to take care of business. And obviously, you lose a Sidney Crosby if he doesn't play tonight. Massive for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think everybody's involved in this game in some way, shape, and form. Let's start with Alex B. Smith first. Get his take on it. Lightning and the Penguins. Alex, what do you like?
Yeah, I mean, this is a game you don't really have to, make it too complicated. I'm on the Tampa Bay Lightning here, and this was before I heard with the injury with Sidney Crosby. I mean, this is a Pittsburgh team that has struggled on all fronts. They remind me of the Hawks last year and how they just kind of slowly but surely just kind of collapse one unit at a time. There's no offense. The goaltending's been spotty. Then they have spotty defense, and it's always a mix of 2 of the 3. Special teams not working out. Like you say, now you're playing a Tampa Bay team. Will probably be a little peeved that they didn't win that game against Buffalo. Like I said, drawn a couple of posts late. A close game, a close battle, coming off 2 losses now in a row. And we're only laying, between, shop around with SBR odds, because you can find this around $1.03 at a couple of shops, or maybe even money on Tampa. I'm expecting to see money come in both ways, because there's still money trickling in on Pittsburgh every game saying, oh, they're going to turn this around. Oh, they're going to turn this around. Well, they haven't, so far. And like I said, Tanner Pearson, I think that's going to be a good move in the long run for him. I think, they're saying he's going to be playing on the second line with Malkin. I think that'll really kind of give him a shot in the arm offensively. But all right, you're going to basically right now you're swapping Tanner Pearson for Sidney Crosby. That's not a good deal as far as tonight's game goes. So I'll go with Tampa Bay at even money.
All right, Tampa Bay as well for Alex B. Smith. Andrew McGinnis, Lightning and Penguins for him as well. He's involved. Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a big game. Obviously, guys, it's an important game. 2 great teams, like you mentioned, Ian, and you don't always have to be involved in these highly talked about games, but it's good to take a look at them and talk about them real quick and look at some stats. And I think it's important to mention, as much as these teams are struggling right now, guys, the over is cash in 6 straight meetings between these 2 teams. And realistically, I understand what you're saying. Back-to-back losses. I'll tell you, I gave out lots of plays I liked on Tuesday. I was confident in quite a few, and even with Domingue in nets, we didn't know it would be him on the ice, guys, but I still loved that play. I loved the way they were coming into that one. I thought they'd bounce back. I liked their talks in the dressing room, and of course they go out and score 1 goal. And I think that this Tampa Bay Lightning team, their problem, guys, is they get off to far too many slow starts, because they're trying to dig themselves into a hole, and they have, late in the second and the whole third period to come back. And if you go back and look at some of their games recently, that's when most of their goals are coming. And realistically, it's like Alex said, it's just not acceptable. Even if you're an elite team, you got to prove that on a nightly basis. And that's the same thing with this Pittsburgh team. I mean, even without Sidney Crosby tonight, these teams are averaging close to, over 3.5 goals per game recently. And so, as far as the season goes, and then now all of a sudden that number's dropped off quite a bit. So look, I understand based off what we've seen from them so far in these past couple of games, this pick might not make sense to certain people, but I like the over in this one. I think that when these 2 teams clash, it's kind of like 2 personalities clashing. They're both kind of the same kind of person, same kind of team, and they're both going to fire lots of shots. It's going to be a run and gun type game. Lots of offense, lots of quality shots, and 2 dangerous power plays. Let's face it, these 2 teams are very top heavy. I mean, I've always mentioned the supporting cast, how that's what makes Pittsburgh great. But right now it's kind of, it's got to be Stamkos, it's got to be Kucherov, it's got to be Tyler Johnson, it's got to be JT Miller, it's got to be the key guys, and Braden Point even, that step up and make a difference for this team. So to me, I like the over in this one. At first, you see a 6.5. It's getting bet down now. A lot of people on the under, but guys, it's embarrassing if you look at Pittsburgh since Toronto. Since Toronto beat them 5-0, they lose 5-1 to New Jersey. They lose 2-1 to Washington. They get 1 win as massive favorites against Arizona. Then they lose 4-2 against New Jersey. And I'll tell you, that game against New Jersey was flat out embarrassing. That game was awful. New Jersey dominated them, and they had to have a bounce back performance. I can't see this one being low scoring, guys. Give me the over 6, Bolts and Pens.
All right, liking the over in that game. Well, series history-wise, if you believe in trends, and trend is your friend, that's over's really the only way you can go. I mean, 6-0 to the over. Look at the scores: 4-3, 6-2, 5-2, 5-4, 7-1, 5-2. They've all cleared 6. They've all been 7 goals or more in those 6 games that went over the total. So it's definitely been over series history. It's basically, is it series history or current form? Current form tells you the over's a little sketchy tonight, because here's Pittsburgh with 2-0. 1-1 and 2 goals scored in 5 of their last 6 games. I mean, the offense has disappeared. It's hard to believe that this Pittsburgh team is just scuffling to put the puck in the net to the extent that they are with what they've got on this hockey team. We'll see if it can come to life tonight against Vasilevsky and the Lightning. Yeah, go ahead.
And that's a good point you make too, because I think it's important that we recognize that you can look at a situational play and a matchup when you're handicapping, and you can also just look at the past, the scheduling and the past couple games for each team. So it's important to do that, because sometimes I agree with what you're saying. You can also just look back at the past couple games for each team and say, wow, this team is really not scoring. And then you can also try and just not look at that for a second and just break down the actual matchup itself and what you see from these 2 teams and their lineups, and then kind of work from that. So like you said, you're right. I mean, the past couple of games for each of these teams, you'd kind of be calling me crazy to look for 7 goals in this game. But from what I know about these 2 teams on a regular basis and the way they match up together, I think that's why I like the over.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the Pittsburgh goaltending in the chat. Murray's had a tough season. I mean, injuries, and when he's been in there, he's had some really bad nights where he's been shelled. DeSmith's been solid. I think DeSmith's had way more good outings than bad so far this season. Even the New Jersey game that he started, they didn't win, but I don't think that's his fault. I think a lot of those goals were tough to stop. DeSmith's been good. It's very interesting, though. At some point, Mike Sullivan's got to have the confidence to say, hey, Matt Murray, you've been our number 1 guy. You've won a Stanley Cup for us. We got to get you back on the beam at some point and put him back in there. Maybe it's tonight. I know the Penguins haven't confirmed a goalie, I believe, as of yet for this game, but you would think they might be ready to roll the dice and give Matt Murray his starting net back, at least for tonight, taking on Tampa Bay. Jimmy Murphy's also got betting involvement tonight with this game, Penguins and Lightning. Jimmy, what do you like here?
Well, I mean, Andrew just stole all my thunder. I agree with everything he says there. I love the over in this game. I think, a lot for what he says there too makes a good point. I mean, they've kind of been low scoring, both teams lately. You'd expect that to change. I think that both teams want to come out and make a statement right now. You mentioned you never go against the Lightning if they've lost 2 straight. It's just rare that they lose more than that straight. And the Penguins, like I said, I mean, they gotta come out right now and say, hey, Jim Rutherford, we got the message here. Don't trade any more of us. So I see them coming out flying. I think this is going to be a great one to watch for the fans. I like the over in this.
All right, Penguins and Lightning over 6 for Jimmy in this game, and along with Andrew liking the over. Tampa is what Alex and I like in this game. A very interesting one for sure. And it's funny, you say big game, teams bring their A game. You would expect both teams to try to at least bring their A game. Lightning and Penguins off losses. But back in the day, big game and bring your A game usually meant dig in defensively. Across all sports, I think it means the opposite these days. It sort of means like, let's fire everything away. Let's score touchdowns. Let's put some baskets in. Let's score some goals. Look at the Saints and Rams game. in the NFL. Look at the Rams and Vikings game in the NFL. These big showdown matchups, and there were points galore in both of those games. And it seems like these big games where teams are trying to put their best foot forward, there's sometimes tends to be more goals than than defense. So that could be the case here tonight. We'll see with the Lightning and the Penguins. We've got Florida taking on Columbus now. Columbus minus 120 at home, total 5.5 shaded to the over. Columbus has won a few games in a row playing good, but Florida even better. What a run for this Florida Panthers team. Absolutely terrific. 5 straight wins. They've been absolutely on fire. Another win the other night against Philadelphia, all culminating with the return of Roberto Luongo. Panthers have not lost a game since Roberto Luongo has been back, although that does include as well one start by James Reimer against Ottawa. When they played Ottawa on the weekend, Reimer was in net that night. But still, fact remains, since Luongo's been activated from IR, the Panthers have not lost. They're playing defensively better. The goaltend, they're getting some saves. They didn't early in the season. And of course, offensively, they're still very, very potent. I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum, how they have 3 lines that have all guys that can contribute offensively and put the puck in. Tough team to beat right now. And Columbus is tough at home, too. Very, very not easy to make a case to go against Columbus here, but I'm going to with Florida. I was on Florida the other night. I said this is a team that's undervalued after a poor start. There's going to be some chances at decent prices to go with them. And I think that's another opportunity here. Again, Columbus, good hockey team, but so is Florida right now. And I still think Florida's got a lot of upside with when any night Roberto Luongo's in net and playing the way he has so far. Florida's going to have a chance to win a lot of hockey games this season, as they've shown in the starts that Luongo's made since he's returned. So I'm going to go Florida at the small underdog price here on the road, about $1.05, $1.10. Oh, it's actually not even $1.10s around anymore. So we've seen some Florida money. It was $1.15. It's down to $1.05. But I agree with that move. I think Florida's a go-with team right now, the way they're playing. Alex B. Smith, you do have a play on this one here. Florida taking on Columbus. What do you like?
Yeah, I've been critical of these trips overseas for a lot of teams in different sports during the middle of the regular season, but clearly the trip to Finland did something to jolt things right for this Panther team. Like you said, winning 5 in a row since getting back on American soil. The big thing here I'm looking at, and it's funny because for as much as we harbored on Columbus first period overs, the first month of the year, I'm looking at the first period under in this game. Since that California trip, we've seen Columbus struggle in the first 20 minutes of games. They've gone under in 5 of the last 6 in the first period. For Florida, they've gone under in 7 of the last 9 within the first period. Like they're getting really good goaltending. They've only allowed 2 goals or fewer in their last 5 games. So I could see that kind of continuing here. So laying only $1.05, with 1.5 under in the first period. So I'm looking at that with the Jackets and Panthers tonight.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all either. The under in this game, 5.5. You've got Bobrovsky's also been very, very good of late for the Jackets. He's really bounced back. He had a bad start, rough start. He's played his best hockey of late. Luongo has been terrific and a pillar of strength in net for the Panthers. So 2 goalies in good form, playing well right now. So yeah, it makes some sense looking under the total for sure. Jimmy has some thoughts too on this game, Jackets and Panthers. Jimmy, go ahead.
I am riding Louis and the Panthers, guys. I'm on the Panthers and the under again. He's just been unreal since he came back. It reminds me of when he came back last year, and also right in the aftermath of that horrible, tragic shooting down in their area there in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He just kind of took the team on his back, if you remember, and they just missed the playoffs. So that's the Luongo we're seeing right now, and it's much earlier in the season. So that's a good sign for the Panthers if he can stay healthy. I mean, this team looks poised to make the playoffs, and they're starting to show why. And I love like the energy he brings to that team, and sort of they seem to really become a cohesive unit when he's in there and really believe in themselves. So that's great for them. As for Columbus too, this is a team that, yeah, they've been riding that first period over a lot this year too, but they're also starting to see Bobrovsky get his game back together. And I think that he's going to come out strong, and we're going to have a goaltending battle here. I like the under.
All right, Panthers and under. You're right. Jimmy had that against the Flyers the other night. 2-1 final. Florida cashes, under cashes. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Absolutely. Stick with it. Stick with it. Teams that's playing well, team that's playing defensively better, team that's getting goaltending and saves for a change. That's Florida right now. We'll see if the Panthers and under trend holds up one more night. Andrew, also, another full house game. Everybody liking this Jackets-Panthers game, including Andrew. Go ahead. What do you like here?
Yeah, to me in this one, guys, oftentimes as the weeks go on in this season, I know we're only young in the season, but I'm always checking out my projections, my power rankings, what I think right now, which teams, not what the standings project, but what I personally think the playoff picture would look like. And I'm looking at teams like Florida, looking at teams like Philly, looking at teams like Columbus, where they fit in, if they make that final spot, if they make a wild card spot, and I think. I was on Philadelphia when they played Florida. They squeaked out a 2-1 victory. And in my opinion, Philadelphia overall is a better club than Florida. And I think Columbus is a better club than Philadelphia. So, in respect, I think they're better than both those teams. I think they get the job done tonight. I think that at home, they're purely more dominant, and they're 10-1 straight up in their last 11 games at home against Florida. So it's a great trend. Right there, and a great stat to go with. But I think line for line is what makes this Columbus team great. You don't really see it as much in the scoreboard, guys, but you see it. The little things, the ability for all these players to get to the dirty areas, make that extra hit against the boards. Not just always ice the puck, make sure they get that puck deep before a shift change. And I think that as much as John Tortorella is talked about as kind of a goon around the league and one of those wacko coaches, he's a good coach. And I think he really, stresses that work ethic for all of his players. And he makes it known that it's not just going to be your regular Cam Atkinsons and Pierre-Luc Dubois that are doing all the scoring. So it's good to see that. And I just think that they match up better. They're a big team. If you look at this Columbus team, when they're out there in their pregame warm-up, they're a huge, huge team. And I'm not saying, they're a bunch of fighters, bunch of, fourth line, checking line kind of guys. They're just a big, solid team. And for me, I think Florida's gotten kind of soft. Their top two lines maybe can't take a hit. So I think that I agree with you guys' underpick, but I do like, in a pretty evenly set game here as far as odds go, I like the Jackets at home.
All right, Andrew going with Columbus at home. Yeah, it's no cinch going against the Columbus team. They're playing good. You're right, Tortorella is a good coach. Yeah, the whack job stuff's like 10 years ago with him being a whack job. He's really a nice, calmer, cooler John Tortorella the last couple seasons in Columbus. He really hasn't. He really has. I mean, he's sort of mellowed a little bit. He has the odd blow up every now and then, but it's nothing like what he had 10 years ago when he was fighting with Brooksy after every press conference. Those legendary moments. I know, exactly. Larry Brooks has covered hockey for the New York papers for a very, very long time. Those were always legendary clips every time I see that. But good moments. John Tortorella will live forever because of those little confrontations he had with Larry Brooks back in the day. Detroit taking on Ottawa. Ottawa, where I'll be actually this weekend because I'm going to the East Final now for the CFL. Looking forward to that. We've got Ottawa about -110 to -120 in this game. Slight home favorites. The total 6 shaded to the over. -125 in this game. Yeah, I'm going to be on the over in this game. I'll preface this and say I don't love it as much as I've loved some Ottawa overs, but I think the Ottawa team has gone under 6. I can't even remember the last time an Ottawa game finished under 6 goals. So I think at the very least we probably push this. Get Detroit scoring right now. We saw it the other night. They broke out offensively. The big-time win against Arizona, 6-1. Detroit's playing really, really good hockey. I give them credit. I give Jeff Blashill credit. There were a lot of people starting to worry about Blashill a little bit. Has he lost this group, or is the fans fed up with him? But boy, talk about getting a win streak right when you need it, because things look like they were going off the tracks for this Red Wings team. And boy, they've reeled it in. They've played very, very good hockey of late. Very impressed with what I've seen from Detroit. Can they do it now on the road is the question. They only have a 3-4 road mark this season taking on Ottawa. But you talk about a team that's come to life a little bit offensively, the Red Wings. Should be able to, in theory, it should be able to continue against the Ottawa Senators, who have had a really, really difficult time keeping pucks out of their own net. Just been one of the worst defensive teams in the NHL. It's a shame for Craig Anderson, the veteran goalie, but he's not getting a lot of help back there. He's just a guy that's having a tough time bailing out his bad Civ defense in front of him. This is another one of those things where, we talked about current form versus series history in the Tampa-Pittsburgh game when it came to the total. You could say that about Detroit and Ottawa, because current form says, look at Detroit, 3, 4, 6 goals in their last 4 games, 3 goals or more in every game, putting the puck in the net. In fact, going back, Detroit scored 3 goals or more now in 8 straight games. So this is a Detroit team that's really feeling it offensively. They've gone 5-2 to the over in their last 7 games. You look at Ottawa, look at the goals they've given up. They've given up 5, 4, 5, 3, 4, 9 just in their last 6 games. They've been flying over the total. The way these two teams are scoring and giving up goals, specifically Ottawa in terms of giving up goals, this game you would think goes over the total. Series history, though, 5-0 to the under between these two teams the last 5 meetings. 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, 2-1, 2-0. Not even close. Not even close in a single one of those games to going over the total. So that's what concerns me a little bit. It does concern me as well. Detroit's getting goaltending right now. Jimmy Howard's been very good in net for the Red Wings, but Ottawa's been scoring against everybody. Ask Tampa when they came back and beat the Lightning 5-4 on the weekend. So I still think Ottawa's going to do some damage offensively. I certainly think Detroit is. So give me the over in this game, 6 minus 125. Again, as long as I get 6 or better on an Ottawa game right now, over the total is the only way I can go. That's the way I'm going to go here with this one. Alex B. Smith is the only other one of my colleagues here that has something on this game, and that is indeed the case. So let's get to Alex. Senators hosting the Red Wings in Canada's capital. Alex, what do you like?
More proof that, in the world of sports betting, you can't bet with your heart and you got to go with what's going on. I can't stand the Detroit Red Wings, obviously. I've never liked them. But they're playing some good hockey right now. They've won 7 of the last 8, and we're getting good value with them once again at even money. I got to go with Detroit here. Like I said, you're looking at the series history. They've won 6 of the last 8 overall against Ottawa, 9 of the last 13 in Ottawa. He said he scored 3 or more goals in the last 8 straight games. It's the Ottawa team. We already know their defensive struggles. He said you're seeing some really good goaltending and just consistent offense from all 4 lines. If you watch that Arizona game, obviously Arizona was dead dog tired in that hockey game, especially Kemper. But the Detroit just played good, balanced hockey. They were physical. They covered themselves, crossing back, good 2-way hockey. So I just like the way they're playing right now and getting even money price. I'm going with the Red Wings again tonight.
All right, Detroit, ride the hot team, and that's definitely Detroit right now. Near even money, but you can get even plus 100 if you shop around at 5 dimes. Again, use SBRodds.com. That's why it's there. Gives you the opportunity to get the best price and numbers available with each of your bets. Vancouver and Minnesota, next game, Minnesota.
Quickly, Ian, we got some breaking news here. I don't know if you saw it. Just
breaking news.
Going back to our Tampa Bay-Pittsburgh game, Darren Dreger reporting right now that Andrei Vasilevsky fractured his foot and will be out for a while.
All right. Wow. That changes everything in that hockey game. Wow. Does it ever? So you know what that means? It's Domingue time.
Get on that over now, boys.
Yeah, Domingue was good actually against Buffalo the other night. He didn't play that bad. He's capable. He's had some good games, but he's also had those. No Vasilevsky. No, but he's had some good, some bad. So I don't know what to do. I'm going to probably stick with Tampa. What the hell? I mean, it's not like Pittsburgh's goaltending has been anything great to write home about. So I don't like it as much. I'll be honest, Tampa Bay now, but.
I would stick with Tampa as well in that spot. Like I said, it just more of a knock on Pittsburgh with my play as far as just backing Tampa, because it's not like Tampa's been exactly world beaters despite going 12-5-1 so far. So Pittsburgh's still struggling a little bit more. I think Domingue coming off of a star could actually maybe get some momentum going now since he's the number 1 for the moment. So
I was going to say, how the hell did Jimmy find out about that with Vasilevsky? Because usually the morning skates don't start till 10:30 a.m. 11 a.m. is when the morning skates begin, and that's when you find out injury news. But Darren Dreger, TSN, and he does NBC south of the border as well. He's hot on the trail, apparently. Found out before everybody else did.
Dregs is good.
Dregs and McKenzie, both of those guys, they just work nonstop. Insiders for the Adam Schefters of the NHL.
At McLean's Pub in Montreal, so I'll try and get some scoops from him then.
All right, very good. So there you go. No Vasilevsky tonight. So you're going to see Louis Domingue in net most likely for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Let's see, I've lost track now. Oh yeah, Vancouver, Minnesota minus 220, total 5.5, shaded to the over, minus 120 in this game. Look, Vancouver's a very feisty team. They're just a tough out. They work hard. They've been at a very, very solid season, better than most people thought. But this has just been a long, long road trip. This team's really starting to hit a wall physically. I saw it in the 3rd period of the Ranger game on Monday night. It just looked like they were stuck in quicksand, skating in mud. They just didn't have that push when they were down 2-1 in that game to come back and tie it. And it carried over to the next night against the New York Islanders, starting to look like a jet-lagged, fatigued team that might be just looking to get back home to Vancouver, which I believe they are doing after this game here. I think they're on their way home after this one. And so it's a tricky little spot here for Vancouver. Getting a good price. I mean, and you know how we feel. Alex has felt this way. Being right there in Minnesota, I felt this way. It's not easy to make a case ever, no matter how good or bad things are going with this team, to lay 230 with the Minnesota Wild at home. It's absolutely insane to do that. We don't like doing that. We would never endorse doing that, and I'm certainly not endorsing that here. It's a Vancouver or pass play for me from a money line standpoint, unless you lay the puck line with Minnesota. We'll see what gas is left in this Vancouver tank. I would just be concerned. I mean, it's a great price. Maybe if you put some pizza money on Vancouver tonight, but the last couple of games, 2 games against New York, they look tired. They look physically fatigued, exhausted, and that's a concern going a minute tonight. It's the end of this road trip. They might just be looking to get home at this point. You know what I say sometimes? These teams, the very, very last game of a long road trip, it could be mail it in time. It could be let's get home. We want to see the wife and kids again. We want to see our home. We want to just relax again, see comfortable surroundings, and sometimes you don't have that best foot forward here. So that's a dubious spot for Vancouver, but obviously it's not a price I can play Minnesota. So pass for me. We'll see what Alex has to say about this game. He's right there on the scene in Mini as the Wild host the Canucks. Alex, what do you think is going to happen here?
I would look at the over in this game, and I'm really, really mad at myself for not playing Washington the other night. Like I said, I liked it, and we talked about it in the game on the last show. I just expected to see exactly what we saw, a jet-lagged and tired Wild team coming off of a great road trip, but a long one. They were gone for 14 days, and Washington took advantage and won 5-2. I think we're going to see a little bit more of that fatigue here with Minnesota, but also, like I said, with Vancouver, I think we're going to see them be, probably playing with some heavy legs as well. I could see where both teams, as far as defensively, maybe even goaltending, kind of be a little lackadaisical, at least in the first half goings or so. But I would be looking at this full game over. I think we're going to see some goals here. If I had to play a side, definitely would not be playing Minnesota with this price. I'd be looking at Vancouver. Vancouver is 5-2 the last 7 meetings with Minnesota. So like I said, yeah, maybe a small half unit or some kind of lean with Vancouver. But I like the over here a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, Vancouver made a lot of defensive miscues the other night against the Islanders. I did notice that. And again, sometimes fatigue can lead to that. We'll see what happens here. This is a game for Andrew as well on his list of games he's interested in tonight on this Thursday card from a betting standpoint. Canucks and Wild. Andrew, go for it.
I added this to my list with you, Ian, just to touch on real quick. And I think it's, first of all, you don't always force spots like this, but I think from a value perspective, it's like you mentioned. I mean, the fact that we're getting Mini at minus 220 for the money line is absolutely ridiculous. The way that this Vancouver team has looked overall this season. And again, it's not just about their past couple games. You got to look at it from a season perspective. I mean, you can follow a team, you can follow trends, you can look at the way they've played recently. I understand that, but from an overall season perspective so far, this team's impressed me far too much to be plus 200 underdogs against this Minnesota team. This Minnesota team is an exciting team. I'll give it to them. They've done all right. They've impressed me. They've got their goal production up, and I will say they look faster this year than the past several years. But in my eyes, looking at this Vancouver team down their lineup and looking at what we saw out of them against Buffalo, against New York, against the Islanders, I've talked about it, and I'm trying to change the whole game of handicapping here, Ian. I think that at the end of this road trip or at the end of this spot, I understand you say they're fatigued, but I'm damn sure that they're going to want to end off on a way better note than they did when they played the Rangers and then when they played the Islanders. And this might be a good spot to do it. They're underdogs here. They're, like you said, they played a lot of games in a short period of time. But this Minnesota team is also coming off a little stretch here where they've played quite a few solid teams, like the Blues and the 5-2 loss against the Capitals. So to me, I think if you get off to an early jump against this Wild team, they don't like to come back in games. They don't like to be that team that's behind and having to come back. So get out there in front, have a good start, use your speed. The young talent on this Vancouver team need a solid goaltending performance, but value perspective, can't argue with Vancouver here.
Yeah, Vancouver might be worth a small bet. Again, they look like they've hit the wall physically. They've been on the road for so long. They traveled lot of miles during this road trip. That's my one concern. This is definite concern because Minnesota's actually at home been very, very good prior to and they are off that loss to Washington too. So you would think Minnesota's bringing a good effort tonight. So that's another concern too. But at this price, I got to play a little something here on the Vancouver Canucks here, just at this price. Although they are still banged up. Brock Besser's not coming back on this road trip. Sutter's out up front. Sven Berchi's out. Alex Edler's out on the blue line. I mean, the injuries have mounted for this team. And again, they look tired, jet lagged the last game. But still, it's just a little bit of inflation here, just a little bit toward Minnesota in this game. Next up, we've got Nashville, Arizona. Nashville minus 135, total 5.5 shade to the over. Boy, I'll tell you what, this Nashville team, they absolutely stink right now. They've lost 2 in a row. I mean, my goodness, just horrendous. I don't know this team's lost their way. They've lost 2 whole games in a row. I don't know what we're going to do with them. I don't know how they can bounce back. But yeah, they have, believe it or not. They've lost 2 straight games to Anaheim in a shootout, and then a wild game, San Jose, Nashville the other night. I mean, Nashville comes out terribly, down 3-0, roars back with 4 unanswered goals, takes the lead 4-3, and then Joe Thornton takes over the game late, including the game winner with his 400th National Hockey League goal. And the San Jose Sharks battle back and win 5-4. Crazy hockey game, back and forth, a lot of fun, exciting game. Preds and the Sharks. Now there's 2 losses in a row for Nashville. Their first 2 losses on the road this season as well. These last 2 against Anaheim, San Jose. Now they go 3rd road game in 4 nights. Tricky spot for Nashville, and you got to lay a price with them. But it's not a great spot for Arizona either. I mean, Arizona's coming home off a long road trip. They got bombed by Detroit. Simple with Arizona. I like this team. I'm always interested when they're a home underdog, but I'm interested when they're a home underdog with Antti Raanta in net, not with Darcy Kemper or anyone else. And we're seeing that the last few games. It's been rough for Darcy Kemper. It's not been the same. I haven't been getting those quality saves, timely saves that Raanta gave them earlier this season since he's been out. And that's a concern for me against obviously a team like Nashville, where even though it's 3rd road game in 4 nights, they are now off 2 losses, including coughing up a 3rd period lead the other night. So this is not the spot I'm interested in Arizona, and not a game actually I'll be involved in from a betting standpoint here. Nashville and Arizona is on both Alex and Andrews. The 2 A's are involved in this game here. Let's get to Alex with Nashville, Arizona.
Yeah, I got Nashville. I played it this last night. I played Nashville laying the goal and a half on the puck line here. I think we're going to see a pissed off Predators team. Like I said, coming off, like I said, that letdown loss against San Jose. Two good efforts, but like I said, falling down late. And then you got an Arizona team that was, like I said, absolutely tired. Especially with Kemper. And I mentioned that Kemper is not a number 1 goalie. He's not a guy who can handle a giant workload. And he proved that, he let up some really soft goals in that game against Detroit. And now they return home. And if he doesn't get the start, then it's Hunter Miska, who played, 18 minutes of the last game. Didn't see anything really great from him, but that game was already in the bag. They were just kind of just skating timeout in that game with Detroit. So either way, I would be looking at laying the goal here. I think we can see a really hot, solid effort offensively from Nashville here. And I think they win by at least 2, if not 3 goals. So laying the puck line with the Predators tonight.
All right, Nashville puck line for that extra value, a goal and a half. Remember, if you don't like laying $1.30 on the money line or $1.40 or $1.50 on the money line, there's the regulation line option. There's the puck line option for more bang for your buck. Always consider that when placing your wagers. Let's get to Andrew, Nashville and Arizona. Andrew, what do you like?
Ian, I've been on quite a few games here, so I'm going to kind of give you a little Greg Popovich kind of interview style answer, and I'm just going to say, Preds back-to-back losses on the road. They hell of a comeback in that game. Don't trust Arizona with Kemper. They had a great, road run, but they're not a talented team. Lineup for lineup, line for line, goaltending spot. Nashville's the play here. I don't care the price. Minus 135 is a steal.
All right, Nashville on the road, very short and sweet. And Rinne back in net, you would assume. Rinne's been very good this season. Saros has been a disappointment, believe it or not. I thought Saros had a chance to really show what he's all about, and he's been a little up and down. And a down for him, obviously, the other night against the San Jose Sharks. But, you'd think Rinne back in net, and Alex and Andrew in consensus liking the Preds to take care of business on the road. We got Montreal-Calgary next up. Calgary minus 145. Home favorites, total 6 shaded to the under, minus 115. You got to start wondering if the wheels come off a little bit, not completely off for Montreal, but they're going to hit some turbulence. We saw it the last game against Edmonton. For Calgary, They've been off, I believe, since Saturday when they beat the Kings. So it's a good rest spot here for Calgary. They should be jumping out of their skates tonight with energy. Haven't been off since Saturday. But, laying $1.45 is not the optimal price. I'm going to do it, but I might go regulation instead. I'm going to recommend Calgary in regulation here in this game. Looking at it, I think it sets up well for them. Extra rest. One concern would be Carey Price back in net. He is still, been, for the most part, he's had blips on the radar, but for the most part, the last 10 he has had, a great run in net, and he's been out now for a week. He's seen Niemi start the last few games, and he's thinking the last 2 starts he was in there, he was not good against the Rangers and Sabres. I'm worried a guy like that maybe steps up and steals a game for the Habs tonight. That could very well be the case here, but I'm going to stick with Calgary anyway on the regulation line because I just think it's a good spot for them. They've been off. They're well rested, should be ready to go, and they'll be able to take care of business. And I think Montreal on the road, a little bit more susceptible. And they haven't actually played very well defensively of late. The defense has come unglued a little bit for the Montreal Canadiens. So we'll see if they can shore it up. It's like Jake Allen last night. There's a reason I didn't go stronger on the over in that Blackhawks Blues game last night because Jake Allen's been bad, but he's been off for a while. He's had a chance to sit, stew, think about it, and he came out and played well last night against Chicago. Unfortunately, didn't get any goal support in that game, but he played well, Jake Allen. Could get the sense that could be Carey Price tonight. Like he's had a chance to think about it, stew about the bad performances last week. Maybe he plays better, and I know I'm going against that possibility here, but with Calgary, but I'll take that chance. Jimmy's involved here. Montreal, Calgary. Jimmy, what do you like?
Well, first of all, Carey Price. You nailed it there. You should be worried because he is going to come out and he's going to stone the Flames tonight. This isn't the type of guy who's going to, sit there and watch the backup start 2 in a row and not let his pride get in there and motivate him. This guy's coming back. I mean, you got to remember, for a while he was playing well. You go back to when I saw him firsthand in person about 3 weeks ago, right? He came into Boston and shut out the Bruins. And then it's kind of been downhill since then. I think he's going to come back really focused right now. He tends to always play well when they go out and they play in Northwest Canada. He's got family out there. I'm sure they'll be at the game. He loves going out there. I think he comes out right now, and I agree with you. I think he steals one for the Habs tonight. And while I agree on the resting for Calgary, sometimes that can work the other way, and sometimes that can provide rust. And I kind of see that coming for the Flames tonight. As far as the Canadiens and their defense goes, look, you know what? I think that the Canadiens came into this season looking at it and saying, hey, we're not going to have a lot of defense. We better make sure that we can just set the forwards free, activate the D into the offense, and use our speed. And that's what they've done, and that's why they are still in playoff contention at this point in the season. But now they need Carey Price to step up to really give them a chance to carry this on through the season, or otherwise they're going to go the other way. So I like Carey Price making a statement tonight in Calgary, and I like the Habs to win, and I love the under.
All right, liking the Habs at a plus price on the money line and the under. Yes, 6 in this game. Actually, I'm going to bet that under too because I do think you're going to see more defensive game. I think it'll be close game. I think something like 2-1, 3-2 could happen. I don't like a ton of unders, as you know, but this one makes sense. 6, goalie with some pride. And Carey Price looking to bounce back, and I could see that happening here. So under does make sense to me as well in this game. Habs taking on the Flames. All right, what do we got next? We've got Toronto and San Jose. Last game on the card. San Jose minus 130 to minus 135. Home favorites, total 6, shaded to the under. Fascinating game to really analyze because you got San Jose, big win for them against San Jose, comeback. Joe Thornton gets his 400th goal. Does they ride the momentum of that, or is it a letdown or a little flat spot, playing outside the conference now as well, playing the Toronto Maple Leafs? So very fascinating game to analyze here. Toronto got their road West Coast, California swing off to a good start to beating the absolutely moribund, horrendous LA Kings the other night, 5-1. But it's going to get a lot tougher here for Toronto. We'll see if they can get the job done. I believe they're playing in Anaheim tomorrow night, but I would think they give Anderson this game. It's the tougher team. It's a better team, San Jose, than Anaheim, and maybe save Sparks till tomorrow night to make that start against Anaheim. So I think you'll get Freddie Anderson tonight in this game. It's probably a game I won't be involved in much, but can Toronto show that they can go on the road, get the job done again? Remember, they lost to Boston, bounced back. I love the spot against LA, a bad team. They got it done. See if they can do it here. It'll be a step up in class for the Leafs, no question about it here, playing the San Jose team. But I think Toronto sort of revels at times and enjoys being able to step up and play these big teams. Let's not forget they shut out Pittsburgh on the road recently as well. Toronto sometimes can elevate their game, but it's a game I'll be sitting back and watching. Alex B. Smith does have a play on it, though. Leafs taking on the Sharks, the nightcap. Alex, what do you like?
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Maple Leafs here. I mean, this is a team that's 7-1 on the road. They're 3-1 as an underdog. I know the series trend obviously is a strong lean with San Jose, but you got to understand these two teams only play each other, twice a year, and going back only maybe once every couple of years. So a little bit skewed with those numbers. But I think we're seeing Toronto finally getting some decent offense going. They've got 20 goals in the last 5 games combined. And it's a San Jose team, like I said, could be a bit of a flat spot after that comeback win. And, the big goal with Joe Thornton, like I said, getting his 400 career goal to win late in that game against Nashville. So I'm looking here with a really solid plus price with Toronto tonight.
All right, looking at Toronto at the plus price. Andrew McGinnis, we've only got a minute or so quickly on this one. Leafs Sharks.
Yeah, there's value guys in the regulation, plus 180 with the Leafs in regulation. I can't really argue with that. Overall, guys, I just still haven't been impressed with the Sharks. No matter what I've seen from them, I just don't think it's any consistency whatsoever. I don't think they're an elite team. The fact that they went and let this Predators team score, I believe, 4 unanswered goals is just kind of pathetic. It makes your team look bad. And with the defensive pairings that they have, their defensive woes has really surprised me. And I think it comes with their defense trying to jump into the rush. And they got to do that. But, you got to see Carlson up there. But you got to stay at home sometimes. And you got to play defense and let your guys do the work up front. And for me, I think coming into this matchup, of course, they want Patty Marleau to kind of get his revenge on the Sharks, finally heading back to San Jose. And I think this is a positive thing for this Leafs team. They came into LA and absolutely slapped the horrible Kings, and that's what they had to do. If the Leafs would have just won 2-1, I would have been a little worried, but they took care of business, and they'll come into this one against San Jose. They'll play a good defensive game, and I think they'll take care of business again here. So plus 180, 3-way line, regulation, bet 365 with the Leafs. Great value there.
And I don't think you can deny that Freddie Anderson's the better of either San Jose goalie right now. Martin Jones hasn't been anything special. Dell obviously has been erratic when he's been in there. So goalie edge maybe for Toronto. Jimmy, you're on valve too. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm liking the goals in this one, guys. I really, I think you guys made a good point. Andrew, you make a good point. San Jose is really disappointed. I mean, they were supposed to have arguably, besides Nashville, right, the best blue line in hockey when they added Erik Karlsson. Karlsson's kind of been a disappointment. Not kind of, actually has been a disappointment to me this season. And the goals are been coming against them too. So I like a lot of goals in this one. I could definitely see maybe even you could approach 10 in this game. That's what I'm thinking. This is going to be a very high scoring game.
All right, very high scoring game, says Jimmy. We're right up against it. Time is up on our show, so we'll get right to best bets. I'll do mine first for a change. Usually I go last, but I'll do mine first. Detroit, Ottawa, over 6, minus 125. Going to ride that. I think we see some goals there in Ottawa tonight. Wings and Senators over 6. Jimmy, best bet.
Under in the Habs Flames, under 6.
All right, under 6, Habs Flames for Jimmy. Andrew, best bet.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, at Pinnacle here, you can get the Leafs team total over 2.5, minus 129. Really can't argue with that. And, try to find some good spots and good value with some interesting prop here. And I think that, a team total is a good play to go with sometimes, especially with this Leafs team heading into San Jose. If my man here, Jimmy, is right on the amount of goals he thinks, then my team total is looking pretty good. So over 2.5 goals, lay a little bit of a price here, minus 129 with the Leafs on the team total.
All right, Leafs team total. Andrew's best bet. And Alex, best bet for you on this Thursday.
Red Wings minus $1.05. They've won 7 of their last 8 overall, 6 of the last 8 against Ottawa. They're playing some really good hockey, the best hockey they've played in probably about 2 years now. So go with the Red Wings minus $1.05, my best bet.
That's coming from a Blackhawks fan too. Whoa,
exactly.
That's not easy to admit. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So Detroit, best bet for Alex. It tells you he's not biased. one little bit, as we
That's right.
know, as we've known that for a while about Alex B. Smith. All right, that's going to do it. That's going to wrap up our show. It's been another great edition of the Ice Guys. We'll be back on Saturday, a little extended edition. We go a little past 1 hour on Saturdays, 9 a.m. Eastern. It'll be Alex, Andrew, and I with that one. Make sure you join us for that. For Alex B. Smith, Andrew McGinnis, and Jimmy Murphy, I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Enjoy the Thursday night NHL card. We'll see you again Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern for the next edition of the NHL Ice Guys. Good luck, everybody, tonight on the ice.